Welcome. In this lecture, we are going to explain some basic symptoms of PCOS. So today we are going to look at about three major symptoms in PCOS. We'll look at virilism, which I'll term as hair growth. Then we'll also look at why people with PCOS have light flows. And then thirdly, why they are infertile or infertility. And then lastly, we will look at insulin resistance. Alright, so for the sake of the lecture, we are going to talk about the first three and then we'll do the last one some other time. So let's begin with virilism. Now, virilism, or the word viral, means that there are hair growths in certain parts of the body where they aren't supposed to be hairs, actually. So places like so for virilism, some places like the chin, let me see, sorry. Let's see, the beard, chest hairs, and hair on the ears. Right, so for most PCOS patients, you see that they have beards, they have hairs on their chest, some may have hairs on their ears, which we call hypertrichosis. Alright, so now I'm going to explain why this is so in people with PCOS. Now in my PCOS video, we looked at the fact that fat cells are able to produce what we call estrogen, and then we looked at what the luteinizing hormone does. So we said that it is responsible for the conversion of testosterone to estrogens. Right. This particular reaction doesn't produce so much of estrogens. So you have a lot of testosterone in people with PCOS. Again, the estrogens produced by this reaction is actually less than 1%, which means that the reaction actually favors the reverse direction, meaning there will be more testosterone in a female with PCOS. Now, testosterone is a male hormone that is responsible for some secondary developments like hair growth, the beard in males, even baldness. Testosterone is responsible for that. So now, because a woman or a lady with PCOS has higher levels of testosterone, then we expect that this level will stimulate hair growth. And so for people with PCOS, you see them have beards or chest hairs or even hair on their ears. And this is due to the effect of testosterone. So let's quickly explain why they also have light flows. Now, to explain why people with PCOS have light flows, we are going to go deeper into the types of estrogens we have. So we have estrogen, we have beta estradiol, and then we even have others like estatriol. Alright, so we said earlier in the PCOS video that fat cells usually produce estrogens, but the type of estrogen produced by these fat cells is called the estrone, and it's actually a weak estrogen. While the estrogen is produced from this reaction, no matter how much small it is what we call the beta estradiol. Now, the other way to produce estrogens is from the action of FSH on the ovules or on the eggs. which generates also beta estradiol. So we are seeing two different types of estrogen here. We have the estrone and then we have the beta estradiol. Now this reaction, FSH acting on the X to generate beta estradiol. This is the main reaction in every young woman in her reproductive age. This is the main source of estrogens. And then this reaction also produces a certain amount of estrogen. But like I said earlier, the estrogens produced here they are smaller in concentration. So basically you have a lot of this estrogen, which actually went back to inhibit the production of FSH. All right. Now for estrogen to be able to act on the uterine walls to cause the development, as we said in the menstrual cycle video, that after menstruation or during menstruation, new follicles start to develop. So now whilst these follicles start to develop, right after menstruation, the estrogens produced by these eggs are supposed to prepare the lining of the womb, help with blood flow to the uterine walls, to help it grow and prepare it for the next phase. Now, the potency or the efficiency of estrogen to be able to develop these uterine walls will depend on the type of estrogen. And it has been shown that beta estradiol is the main potent estrogen we have in the female. So it is actually this hormone that can actually develop the uterine walls very well for the next menstrual cycle to begin. However, in PCOS patients, we saw that this reaction is absent because there are low levels of FSH, which means that there are low levels of beta estradiol or no levels at all. So we saw these two reactions in people with PCOS. However, we are saying that the concentration of beta estradiol produced from this reaction is much smaller, whilst the estrogen produced from this estrone is higher in concentration. Like I said, this is a weak estrogen, and this is the strongest or the most potent estrogen. And because the concentration of this is much smaller, then we expect that the development of the uterine walls will be smaller, because this is the most potent estrogen, and we need more of this to cause proper development of the uterine walls. Now in this case, we have lower levels of this, which means that even though there may be some development of the uterine walls, it wouldn't be up to the levels or up to the state if we had more of the beta estradiol. And secondly, because estrone is also a weak estrogen, we expect that its effect on the uterine walls becomes weaker, and so you wouldn't have the uterine walls developing so well. So in this case, usually during menstruation, because the walls are not developed so well, we tend to have light flows, or in some cases you don't have flows at all. So this is the mechanism why usually you see light flows in people with PCOS. Now let's look lastly at the infertility, why PCOS patients are usually infertile. Now in the PCOS video, we began by saying that the ovaries are acted upon by FSH, which causes the ovaries or the eggs to produce estrogens, and it is these estrogens that goes to prepare the uterine walls and then for the next cycle. We also realize that in people with PCOS, the levels of FSH produced is lower. Thus, this reaction doesn't occur in people with PCOS. And then we said that FSH helps the eggs to develop. And then whilst these eggs have gotten to a particular target size, the LH causes their ovulation, or causes them to be released. Now, because PCOS patients have lower levels of FSH, we expect that these ovules or eggs are not able to develop. So they tend to remain in whatever state they are. They never get to the target size to be released. And so these small round eggs are what we call the cysts. So people with PCOS usually have a lot of these cysts in their ovaries because they are not fully developed, and so they remain in these states for as long as they will be. And then this is what causes people with PCOS to be infertile. So once the eggs are not able to reach their target size to be ovulated by the high stage of LH, then there will be a problem with fertility, and this is a reason. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.